last Saturday of March 2020, flurry of emails going around our mailboxes, call it the top 10, 12 VC firms. And then we said, hey, let's catch up on Saturday and see as a group and a community what we can do to better prepare for this impending pandemic.
ACT is just an action for help. It was the disease, but it was also the desire to do something about it.
So my first reaction to ACT and what ACT was doing was that, hey, I'm not the only stupid guy doing this alone, right?
These absolutely stunning people with no personal agendas were searching to make a difference at an uncertain time.
And that's how we started. And I was getting ideas from ACT, feeding it to the market, getting ideas from the market, feeding it back to ACT.
But what we said is, if there is a platform we can create which allows you to clearly sort of articulate what problems need to be solved.
On a Saturday morning, I distinctly remember there was like some 15 odd VCs and Mikin and I were on the call.
And so we go, what do you need from us? And he's like, money.
In my head, I was thinking 10, 15 crores, but Mikin being Mikin, doesn't think small. Mikin said nothing less than $10 million will even move the needle.
We knew how to raise money. Okay, so we went and raised 100 CR. We knew how to spot good companies that matches the idea. So we said, okay, let's go and experiment.
It was the first time where entire ecosystem was working together as one large startup trying to make social impact happen for the country.
We can sit around here waiting for somebody else to solve this, or let's wade in and begin to see where we can try and make an impact.
The challenge next came was Dharavi was from their team, the drone project. They were saying, I can't go house to house. I need to tell them. So we gave a grant to Drone Federation of India, who had a relationship across India, to say, go wherever police want to send a drone with a loudspeaker, saying that give social distancing, wear a mask, here the cases are coming.
The government had everything in place, infrastructure, equipment, everything was there. Their problem was that, listen, in Bombay, 6 out of the top 10 ICU doctors have been infected and they are no longer there. So we are really short on ICU doctors. What do we do? And that time through ACT and then separately, we had heard of this company called Cloud Physician. So this was a late night 11 o'clock call with the government. And in 15 minutes, we arranged Cloud Physician to come on that call and actually demonstrate what tele-ICU is, because the government in Maharashtra had not seen what tele-ICU is.
Early on, everybody said we have a very low ventilator capacity. We need 250,000 ventilators. India has only 10,000 or 20,000. So we said, any ventilator we import, can we make it work for 2 people? And that was an innovation.
We had just figured out that ventilators are not going to be the savior that we thought they are. And maybe some other opportunities in oxygen are going to help.
But by the time the cases came up, ventilator was not the challenge. People who can administer ventilator was the challenge. There's not enough people who know ventilators. And then we also changed that strategy to do remote ventilation management. I don't think anybody has done in the world what we did there.
It's never waiting for things to happen. It's never about, okay, let someone else do it and then we'll do it. The pandemic is here. It's disrupting lives on the ground. We need a rapid response. What can we do?
What is the purpose of a business? The answer was to maximize the total return to shareholders. And I think I have not been able to make peace with this answer in the last 10 years. I just don't believe in it.
The aha moment for me was literally in 7 to 10 days, this group had basically started providing HFNC solutions to AIIMS, oxygen cylinders to a bunch of these hospitals in small and big towns of India, and had sort of seeded these in-axle kind of oxygen helmet solutions. So this all happened in a literally 12 to 14 day period, which to me showed the power of this network.
This is the first time when we have found some partner who is ready to listen, who is very open, कि yes, सब कुछ वही नहीं जानते. Let doctors also say something.
In fact, we feel now that this Swasthya and ACT team has now become the extension and ambassador for Search and Gadchiroli in Mumbai and Bangalore.
Everybody came together on this. So actually, it was a highlight was the moment is where the industry came together.
It was a sense that I'm working with a peer. And sometimes a competitor is a better peer than a friend.
I don't think the founders have become activists. I think the founders have become citizens.
Can we actually look at this issue as we would look at others and see if we can bring entrepreneurial energy to solve problems at scale?
At Swasth, we have about 100 volunteers, all from startups, mostly from startups. And they actually spend the time because they all believe that collectively we can do something.
It's not something that they had to do. If they didn't step in, nobody would have complained. But they still did and did a great job of it.
At the end of the day, if there is no consumers in India, no happy consumers, none of this what we do matter.
It was very clear to me that this is going to be, the event of my life, or 2-3 events of your life, right? Sometimes when history is getting created, immediately you don't realize it. But I think on this one, most of us knew that this is historical.
We were very clear that we would actually measure the impact and share that impact back with the government. And the intent of that was to have the government understand what the private sector can do if given an opportunity.
It should not be thought of as it's the government's problem, or this is a problem of development sector or donors or development agencies, but everyone has a role to play.
ACT was able to rapidly bring together hundreds of volunteers to evaluate and disperse grants in a fair and meritorious way.
My Labs was a company which used to produce, probably like at peak, they had produced 1,000 testing kits a day, something of that scale, right? Their annual turnover was, in the last financial year, just before COVID, was 10 crores. So anyways, we gave them a grant. Very early days, no questions asked. This year, My Labs would have produced hundreds of thousands of test kits a day, from like 1,000 a day.
I think the other opportunity is the government's going to announce this year a national EdTech mission. And so the timing of our fund couldn't be better.
The EdTech Ambition Fund, as part of ACT, is focused on creating real learning outcomes. Unlike just using technology for delivering education, we as a group care deeply about, are these interventions really creating learning outcomes? And hence measurement and data are going to be critical to figuring out, are we succeeding or not?
Act 1 was effectively a pandemic response. Act 2.0 is effectively resilience.
Personally, what drives me is, I think it's very simple. I have both kids and a brain, and it just shows up right there in front of you. It's also become obvious, like it didn't become very obvious to the previous generation that these are problems and these directions will add up to something that's not sustainable.
What is galvanizing us is the first phase of entrepreneurial impact that we have seen in this country and what entrepreneurs can do. For the next phase, we believe a lot of these entrepreneurs would pick very different problems and hopefully large societal challenges to tackle.
So I potentially see ACT Ethiopia at some point. I see ACT Senegal at some point. I see ACT Cambodia at some point. Right? But the idea of bringing entrepreneurial energy to solve problems.
I would love to see 5 different verticals get assembled: healthcare, education, environment, perhaps pick another one on livelihood and something else. So call it 250 to 300 startups are given birth as a result of ACT existing in there. Of this, by sheer probability, we'll have 10 to 20% of them that mean something.
Founders believe that you only learn by doing, and that's the mindset this group will bring to bigger problems like education and sports and air pollution. But I don't think this is about a stance against. I think this is getting into the flow.